will be a blessing to anybody who has had to deal with being a caretaker or a sister or a loved one of someone who has had breast cancer. So tonight we are talking about my sister's keeper during a 2-time walk with breast cancer. And so I have two lovely guests here with me today. And let me just tell you a little bit about my guests. First of all, we have Miss Gina Jeffries, who is here with us. She is the mother of two, and she is principal at a school in East St. Louis. She's a college professor as well, and she is one dynamic speaker who often hosts women's conferences related to a variety of topics. Anytime Gina steps up to speak, I'm going to listen. All right. And again, has been serving as a ministerial support position. And when her pastor calls on her, she is ready to speak a word or whatever it is that she needs to do. Now, also we have Miss Tina Richardson, and I guess you all can figure out by now they are sisters. Okay, they're my sisters too. I'm their sister from another mother. Mm-hmm. But you met Tina a couple of weeks ago when we talked about mental health, especially as it relates to Black women. And Tina, as you know, is married and has two children. She is a deaconess. She is a licensed professional counselor, and she is also a school counselor at one of the local schools in the Kansas City area. So as you can see, we have two dynamic women here who can actually stand and talk about any topic, but they're going to be talking about something that's near and dear to their heart. When they lost they were supporting their sister in her 2-time walk with breast cancer. So hopefully you all will be encouraged by this conversation, but I'm going to quit talking. And first of all, welcome Gina and Tina.
Hi.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
We're so excited to be here.
So glad to have you both here. And thank you all for doing this. I know that the month of October is quite a month because you probably are looking at all this pink stuff going on and all this conversation. And Tina, something you said to me years ago just really stuck with me. And, you know, as we would dress for pink, wear pink or worship in pink and those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. And you would help me to remain sensitive about that because you said there's nothing pretty about breast cancer. Pink mm-hmm. might be pretty, but there is nothing pretty about breast cancer or cancer in general. So let's talk about, why don't the two of you share a little bit about your sister's journey?
Mm-hmm. Gina, do you want to start? Hi, everyone.
Hi, since you're the big sister, you can start first.
Okay. Well, our baby sister, Rona, who we adore. It is actually 4 girls. And our baby sister, Rona, I think it was 2010, would you say, Gina, that she was first diagnosed with breast cancer. She lived in Chicago, a mother of 2. I was in Kansas City, Gina and my other sister, Tanya, in St. Louis. And we are all close. We are the epitome of I am my sister's keeper. And so she called us. I'm sitting on I-35 in traffic. And she said, I have something to tell you all. And me being the big sister, my heart just dropped. But I didn't, of course, we're going to make it. We're going to get through this. And she had just got the diagnosis. So, Gina, you remember your time when she was first diagnosed? And
yeah, she had actually called on Friday and said she felt something in her breast. And she wasn't for sure, but it felt like the size of a pea. And we prayed together. And of course, I told her she was probably just over thinking it and just imagining it. Luckily, she was able to get in the doctor's office that week, and they immediately did tests. And then we had to wait about a week for the biopsy, and it did come back malignant. And we found that out. That started in the month of October.
October.
Yep. Wow. And by the time She was treated and had a plan of action. And we were very blessed and fortunate. We got to be treated and served at America's Cancer Treatment Center of America in Zion,
Okay.
Illinois. And that was if you can have a good experience, that was the best experience. Um,
Yes.
I think Tina and I can relate to it because as educators, we love a plan. And
Hmm.
this hospital had a plan. You got a
Yes.
therapist, you got a spiritual,
Wellness
a
coach,
wellness coach,
a
you got
nutritionist.
oncologist, a nutritionist, and a dietitian.
Hmm.
And so we love that because we believe, that when you go through holistically, you need more than the church to help you. You have to have that wellness. And she had all of that in Zion. And yeah, I don't want to skip too far ahead because I can go on and on, but that's
Okay.
when
No,
we
but
first found out.
yeah, no,
Hmm.
but there is something special about CTCA. Now
Yes.
they're called the City of Hope. I believe they've changed their name
Okay.
to
Oh,
City of
what a
Hope.
great name
But
for it.
I was actually trained by them to be a cancer care minister, and they have a very strong spiritual component, which that is
Yes.
one of the very things you need when you are going through any type of diagnosis. Really, all hospitals should have a spiritual
Yes.
component, because um, that's what people need. So
Hmm.
again, so she had good caretakers and everything. So how did you all feel? Did you all call each other and start making plans for how you all were going to help her, or what you all were going to do as a family?
We and Gina can chime in, but we pretty much took over her plan. um, I again, being educators, and we're all Type A personalities. Everyone was looking to see what we were going to do. And while she was waiting for the biopsy to come back, I was Googling cancer treatment centers and
Okay.
didn't want to give her too much information and overwhelm her. But we as a family came together. We told our aunts,
Mhm.
our dad, and we pretty much, Gina and I pretty much gave people their marching orders after,
Sis,
after.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I would like to say gently that Tina gave marching orders. Now,
Yes, I did.
by birthright, I'm the middle child.
Okay.
So I can give marching orders, but they're not gonna be as powerful. In a good way, we call Tina a Holy Ghost Mafia. That is our family's nickname because she's got power in the Holy Ghost.
Uh-huh.
She has
I
power in the
know.
Holy Ghost. And she could call orders from Olathe, Kansas, and people were listening. I do think it's important to remember that in birth order right, you got to remember Rona is the baby.
Hmm.
So she got a lot of things her way because she was the baby. So it was something special and significant that why the baby sister, you
Yeah.
know,
Mm,
she
okay.
she is she is the baby. So and I think that we don't say that we recognize birth order, but we
Mhm.
recognize birth order.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
having lost our mom at the age of 40 to breast cancer, there was this sense of, oh no, not
Yeah.
again.
Mm,
Not
Because
again.
we saw this before,
Yeah.
and Tina was a freshman in college and I was a senior in high school.
okay.
So when we went through with our mother, and so to know what cancer does, and cancer has, um, there's been so many improvements and
Right.
regiments with how you can support, even with
Mhm.
the spirituality, even with CTA, that
Mhm.
my mother didn't have privy to.
No.
So
Mm-mm.
whereas now I feel like there's an offset. If you have something with nausea, you can try this or do this. That just
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
And we stayed in rural Wentzville, unincorporated Missouri, in what we would
Ah.
call the country. So my mother was being treated at Barnes, which is at least an hour drive
Mm-hmm.
both ways. And so to
Mm.
watch her I think emotionally for us was like, oh goodness, the only thing we could do is lean on the Lord.
Yeah.
That is the only
Wow.
thing that we could do. So go ahead, sis. I'm so sorry. I just
No, no,
wanted
no.
to
I was going to
correct you
say
when
you're
you
right.
said
We had a
we both
plan,
gave
and
marching orders. Teen gave the
Mhm.
marching orders, and then we listened.
yes, I
And,
did.
and, and Tina's been the mother, obviously, the mother of you. I've been around all of you at one time, and y'all listen to Tina. Tina is the one that that has the marching orders usually, and I love it. I love it the way that you all work together. So what's going on in your mind too, from a standpoint of having lost your mother to breast cancer?
Mhm.
What's going on in your mind when you hear that Rona has been diagnosed with breast cancer?
I think we, for me, the busyness of getting her treatment and caretaking, so I didn't have to think and go there, if I'm being
Okay.
honest.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, and oh my goodness, it could go all the way there. So I started making plans and telling aunts and telling sisters, I'm
Mhm.
taking the first week. But then after she was what you call okay and in remission,
Mhm.
that's when my grief, and she was still here, my grief about her having breast cancer and my, oh my goodness, my baby sister has breast cancer and it could
Mhm.
happen again. And so that fear of, oh my goodness, came in after she had her first bouts of treatment. And, you know, um, we moved her to St. Louis. I don't know if you know that,
Hmm.
after
Mhm.
she was diagnosed,
Okay.
because we want, and her doctor, and Gina can talk more about this, um, would not, we had an amazing oncologist at Barnes who, is still part of our family today,
Oh, wow.
but wanted Rona again to have the holistic
Mhm.
approach. And
Mhm.
she needed to be close to her extended family. And so her doctor said, I will fight for her if she has her family behind her and she's closer to her extended family.
Okay. So now you're talking about the second time
The
around.
second time.
the second
Okay.
Hmm.
time.
So
I
the
think
first
it's
time
important. Oh, go ahead. I was
yeah,
just
go
going to say,
ahead.
I think it's important to note that the first time, um, she temporarily moved to St.
Yes.
Louis,
Okay. Okay.
but was being treated at CTA.
Okay.
So we, like I said, as educators, we wanted a plan. In my education circle, we call them professional learning communities, where you have
Mhm.
protocol and everybody's voice gets heard. You assume good intentions. And unless we're talking about the order of business, we can have a parking lot conversation after the meeting. And that was important to stay on what we would call a schedule, because she's temporarily in St. Louis, but we still have to get to CTA for her
Oh,
visits.
wow.
And so
Wow.
Tina was the forerunner. I would call it a Josh and Caleb anointing. She went, they flew down, saw milk and honey, didn't see any discrepancies. Like, she's in
Mhm.
Chicago. How are we going to make all this work? But she was diagnosed in October. By
Mhm.
November, she was moved to St. Louis, and we had already started treatments the day after, oh goodness, Tina's 40th birthday.
Okay.
So actually, we started treatments right after Christmas, in between that. So Tina's
Yeah.
Okay.
birthday is December 31st. So we had a philosophy. Life has got to continue, because Rona was
Mhm.
the baby sister. She's feisty. She was mad if we changed appointments, didn't go to work,
Mhm.
or stopped life. So her treatment, she was diagnosed in October, had a plan in November. Treatment started right after Christmas. We went to CTA for her first chemo, and then
Mm.
drove back to Illinois to St. Louis, and then 24 hours later drove to Tina's surprise 40th birthday.
Okay.
And
So
Tina, I don't
I
know if
was
you
at that birthday
remember,
party.
you
Yeah.
was. And I don't know if
I was
you,
at that 40th birthday party, and I remember
yep,
Rona was going through. I remember she was going through at that
Yeah.
time, and yeah, and she was determined to be there for that birthday party, and that's such a blessing that you all were taking such a big part in her treatment and taking care of her. She didn't want that birthday party to go without her being
No.
there. So that
Uh-uh.
is wonderful. So what kind of treatment did she go through the first go around? Did she what type of breast cancer? Do you know what type she had the first time around? Do you know if
she
it
was
was either
stage.
triple negative or any of that?
No, it was not triple negative the first time around, but
Okay,
it was stage two, Tina.
Yeah.
It was
okay.
stage two,
Mhm.
and she got a
Stage
double.
2,
She got
she
a
got a
double
double,
mastectomy
go ahead, double mastectomy,
that she
chemo,
wanted.
radiation.
That
She
she
wanted
wanted.
it. She wanted
Hmm.
it. She was,
Yeah.
listen, take, and she was very adamant. One thing about our baby sister is she knew her body,
Hmm.
and she was very in tune. So it wasn't a second that she wasn't like, yes, this is, we know you. She believed to be just very direct upfront, like, let's do this. And so I
Hmm.
think wrapping our brain around this is happening
Hmm.
was harder
Hmm.
for us than it was for her.
Wow. I remember this T-shirt she had that said, "Yes, these are fake. My real ones tried to kill me."
Yes.
I remember that shirt so well because I thought, oh,
Yes.
only Rona would
And,
wear a shirt like
and
that,
that was
and I
her
loved it.
that was her personality. Yep.
I
Hmm.
loved it. So she came through the first go round,
Hmm.
and how long was she doing well before the second diagnosis came?
So that was 2010, probably when you say 2014, 20, before the second go around, Gina
I was going to
came.
say that because we even went on a sister cruise to
Yep, we went on a
celebrate
sister cruise
her
2012.
being, yep, in
Yeah.
2012.
Hmm.
And I would say we did went on that sister cruise because we went to the Essence Fest that year right before the cruise. Um, it was, yep. If that was 2012,
2014.
Tina, it was 2013. It was Valentine, like 2 days before Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
So it was about
Wow.
4 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like when you got that call?
Um, I I would say I have to see the data, like, because in just knowing what the odds were the first time, it was no way that here it is again. And they said the lymph nodes, which were very small. But for me, it was I want to go in and see. And because it did come back, they told her like on a Monday, but wanted to talk about a treatment plan that Wednesday. So I
Mm.
remember getting a flight to
Yeah.
Chicago. And I'm so thankful for God now that I just look at this journey because I don't even know how you get on a flight, you know what I'm saying? And just working and being a
Hmm.
mom, but
Hmm.
God worked all that out and we got there. So for me, I had to see it. Once I heard it and hearing her was it was just it was devastating because she just kept saying, I did everything. I didn't have to
Yeah.
get a double mastectomy. I elected
Hmm.
to.
Hmm.
They only recommended her to get one. And she's like, take them both. I don't want any chances of this coming back.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so initially, after she got that news, and we didn't go back to CTA. We were at a local hospital in Chicago.
Right.
She had made up her mind. No, I did everything I was supposed to do the first time.
I'm
It
not
is
doing
what it
it.
is. I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing
Hmm.
anything this time around.
Yeah, it took a
Wow.
while for us, and we went into prayer. And I think I had you pray, Sister Love, about our treatment and her treatment, and that God would show her what to do. Because, as Gina said, she felt like she had done everything humanly possible. So what was happening? And again, the feeling for me, I always give myself 24 hours to just like have an emotion about a situation. And my husband knows. He's like, listen, I'm gonna leave you. I give myself 24 hours to be emotional about it, and then again, I'm ready to fight. Let's do this. What's the plan? What we gotta do?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so the Lord really spoke to her mind, and
Wow, so the odds of having a mastectomy and it coming back,
mhm,
wow, that probably did hit her like a ton of bricks. Like I
yeah,
did everything. I did my treatment. I removed both breasts because that's supposed to be the way
what,
that you keep from it coming back, right?
right,
One of the ways that you keep from that, and for it to come back, and you say it was on the same side too
mhm,
that the original one had been.
In the lymph node.
Wow, wow.
yep.
So from a family perspective, it's four girls in your family, and having lost your mother to breast cancer, and having a sister who had breast cancer twice, did that cause you all to maybe do some own testing yourself to see if you either had the BRCA gene or do any type of genetic testing? Did either one of you do any of that?
We were prayerful, and of course, being a caretaker, it's hard to kind of sit and say, "Okay, what am I going to do?" Because we
Hmm.
were walking through this journey with her. And when I say walking through it, it was, even me living in Kansas City, it was caretaking from
Hmm.
here and leaving every weekend. And
Hmm.
but Rona was adamant that we, not forsake our mammograms and different things.
Okay.
So Gina and I, and our sister Tanya, we made sure that we were up on all of our exams, and so
Okay.
um,
Tina, I was just going to
Wonderful.
add to that I think it was harder for Tina because we can see Rona. So
right,
to not be there, and sis, was FaceTime really big back then? I can't.
yeah, we use FaceTime.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Because
It's hard
what I was
keeping up
going to,
with this technology, right?
yes.
Yep. So it was, they would FaceTime me at doctor's appointments that I couldn't make,
Hmm.
and give me the prognosis of the day. I mean, literally, we were getting prognosis every day.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
Which also, we were cognizant because again, um, when I want to back up just a little bit, when we were
Okay.
at CTA, they had the holistic approach where you had a team.
Okay.
So
Okay.
Rona was adamant that this wasn't just about her being healthy, but that we all need to be healthy. We know this
Okay.
runs in our family. We need to add uh, berries to
yeah,
our
green leafy
diet.
vegetable.
We need
Yep.
to
Okay.
include exercise. We need to practice peace on purpose. We need
Hmm.
to be stronger in our faith. And we need to practice forgiveness. And that's
Yes.
that's one of the biggest lessons. The
Oh yeah.
biggest lessons. And whereas Teen was the
And
Kansas
she calls
City,
me
and
King Ting. That's my nickname.
Oh.
yeah, um, because she was the initiator of
Hmm.
finding CTA the first time. The good thing about the second time is we already had protocols. Rona
Right.
said
Okay.
the only reason I'm doing this the second time is for my kids. And
Yeah.
she said, I don't remember my mom being a healthy, happy adult because my oldest
Mhm.
memory of my mom, she was sick with cancer and chemo
Wow.
because Rona was the baby. So her
Hmm.
second fight was for her kids. So we are adamant on just practicing good um, emotional wellness, mental wellness. I walk 5 miles a day, and it's because of the promise that I made to Rona that I will be healthy. Um, Whereas Tina was the overseer calling the shots from Kansas City, the organizer, I'm kind of on the ground and taking, okay, what do we do here? What do we do there? Because when
Okay.
you're physically a caregiver for someone, their next breath, if they eat, if they get to the hospital,
Mm.
if they get their meds, that comes on you. When Roe was diagnosed the second time, I had to be trained on specialties like taking fluid off of her lungs when the cancer
Mm.
had spread. And so caregiving for her son, who was 9 at the time, being a single mom to a 16-year-old and taking fluids off of her, she made sure that anytime that I could get out of the house and do something and walk, it was mandatory. It was not optional. It was
Yeah.
mandatory. And I kind of put all that effort in going back to school. I was in my specialist program when Ro got diagnosed the first time, but admitted to the doctorate. And that's where I put all my stress into,
Mhm.
was hitting the books. And it was a good, healthy distraction for me to still be level headed. But we are big now on everybody in our family, what we eat, what goes in our
Mhm.
bodies. I even pulled the diet plan from CTA and the vitamins. I'm big on vitamin D
Mhm.
and vitamin C as well. We don't want to know what we know,
All right.
but when you walk that walk with cancer, you know what it does. And Sister Love, I have to share this story. Tina don't like this story,
Mhm.
but when you are protecting somebody's peace because of their healing process, when she would visit from, or not visit, but come to give us a break from the day to day,
Mhm.
she would put signs on the door where Rona was at. Do not go in this room unless you have permission from me. And our dad would see Rona and just automatically start crying because when
Mm.
he saw Rona, he saw his wife at the age of 40,
Oh.
um, right, passing away. And so she's like, Daddy, I love you. And we can talk and you can see Rona on virtually, but you can't come in this room because we're
Mm.
believing God for a healing and we don't need a hindrance with that healing. When Rona left Chicago the second time, when she got to St. Louis, her doctors at Siteman at Barnes gave her 2 months
Wow.
based on the plan of action that went forth and how we lived on purpose and the nutrients and just everything we learned at CTA. She, our sweet sister, was with us for 2 more years.
Wow. So I remember when she started vlogging, doing videos about what she was going through with her treatment. She was very open with sharing her journey and
Mm-hmm.
the things that she was feeling. How she felt maybe good one day, what was hurting. I was just so captivated by her willingness to share her story, even though she knew that this was possibly going to be terminal for her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. One of the
And
things, and Gina and I are so private, not now, but we we would tell her, "Are you sure you want to share that? Are you sure?" And she shared with us that she understood her assignment from God, and
mm,
that her assignment was to pass on hope, to pass on Christ, to pass on faith, to pass, that even if her physical healing wasn't on this side, that she wanted others to understand that God still is love and God still can save you, and heal you. And she wanted people to have that hope. And when I look at her videos now, which is really a love letter, not only to the people, but it's a love letter to her children, to us. When
mhm,
we get in a
mhm.
grief-stricken state, we go to any of her YouTube. And now I'm so thankful that she did that. But not only that, she is saving women, um, through her videos by saying, hey, don't be scared of cancer. God is bigger than cancer.
Wow, I love it. And I love it how she invested in you all, making sure that you all stayed healthy, that you still had a life, that you still were pursuing your own goals. And that I mean, that's love. That's
Mm-hmm.
her love and appreciation for what you all did for her, and being a sister. I mean, that's what sisters
Mm-hmm.
do. I remember when my own sister was diagnosed with cancer. They caught it very, very early, and she only had to do radiation. But it was like, we're going to be there for her.
Yes.
We're going to do whatever it takes. And she was like, "Y'all, I got this. All I need to do is do some radiation." But we were there to make sure, especially because she had come through another illness
Right.
several years before that, a very serious illness.
Remember.
So sisters, that's what sisters do.
That's what
That's what
sisters
sisters
do.
do. And you all have been close. I know you all took trips. Even while I think when Rona wasn't even feeling well, you all took a trip or something because
Mm-hmm.
you all wanted to make sure that she had some time
Mm-hmm.
alone. Y'all made it a family deal, and
Yes.
it was just beautiful. I saw a lot of the videos or the gatherings that you all would have when you would have everybody come together, not just
Mm.
the four of you, but
That's
your
right.
dad, your brother, and even relatives in the St. Louis area. And it was just beautiful how you all just came together as a family. So once you her life was extended 2 years versus 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me about when you knew that she was not going to make it.
I think probably I wouldn't allow myself to feel it until not even, I was literally going to St. Louis every week. I
Mhm.
should have taken time, but up until a week, and she was so prepared
Mhm.
that she called people in her room, um, if not just to tell, not goodbye, but I love you. And as Gina said, forgiving others. She would say, don't hold things,
Mhm.
and she was teaching her daughter how to cook. Um,
Mm.
and told her, the most important ingredient in cooking is to have love. And she called my husband in the room and told him to take care of me. And she
Mm.
really was more prepared than we were.
Okay.
But God gave us, and Gina will tell you, a supernatural grace and peace, not only to take care of her physically, but the emotional part. And we laugh about me putting that sign up, but it was important to surround
Mhm.
her with this piece. So we invited some good college friends. Um, a really quick story. Gina had a house full of people not even a month before Rona passed, and college girlfriends, and
Mhm.
they brought their dogs and kids, and it was what she wanted. And
Tina, I didn't mean to interrupt you, sis, but I wanted to just say we didn't even know that we were doing this. The Holy
yeah,
Spirit prompted us, but we had a social worker therapist
yeah,
in the
Mhm.
midst of
Mhm.
the, and the kids were doing art therapy at the time and making pillowcases that her kids still have to this day.
hmm
Wow.
hmm
But we were doing it just knowing, do this thing and then do the next thing and then
yeah,
do the next thing. There's no playbook for
for
breast
this.
cancer.
Mhm.
No.
Mhm.
There
And
just
Right.
isn't. The
to
the
keep an environment of peace. And that anytime we felt like her peace or our peace was disrupted, we didn't have time for it. We couldn't allow it
Wow.
to come in.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
where you said
no.
that sister circle, that sister love. And we also had to tap a few not sisters, but like
Mhm.
this is not peace.
Right.
This is not
And
Right.
what
Sister
thus
Love,
saith the Lord.
again, that was Ting Ting doing the tapping.
Okay.
I
I
did want to
love that.
say, I did want to answer that question too on when did we know.
Mhm.
I would never let myself come to believe, because I wanted to
Yeah.
offer her the utmost caregiver.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
never wanted to say, even though the nurses trained me that if the less fluids you get, then it's getting closer. I never
Okay.
wrapped my brain around that. Every
Okay.
day was, okay, sis, tomorrow this is what we're gonna do. Matter of
Hmm.
fact, we were when she went on hospice, um, just 2 weeks before she actually transitioned, and um, we had what we would call angel caregivers around the clock. So we always wanted at least two family members with her. We didn't care
Okay.
at what time. And so the young adults would usually take the midnight shift because they're up all night. And
Right.
the two young adults that came that evening, when we got up that morning, our ritual was to pray with Rona before I left for work at 6 o'clock in the morning. I kissed her and we prayed at 6 o'clock in the morning. I had a long day at work and went straight to class and got the phone call from Tina in Kansas City at 8 o'clock at night, leaving class. I wasn't surprised, but I
Hmm.
also didn't let my care and my assignment be lessened, because when
Hmm.
God calls you to do an assignment, He's going to give you the strength to do it. And you
Amen.
don't get to dismiss the assignment, lessen the assignment, because it's not going the way that you think that it should go. So I knew let me take that back. I knew the assignment that God put on me, He was going to give me the grace to do it. I didn't know everything that it would entail, because anybody that entails caregiving, that's not something that you volunteer to do, knowing
Right.
what you're going to be faced with. And again, that is God's grace and peace and mercy that kept us. That is His grace, peace, and mercy that has kept us.
Wow.
Um, His grace, peace, and mercy. Period. Uh, period.